Hello, and welcome to Tom and Ben News Wikipedia News Edition. On 20th episode of Season 2 is MySpace. MySpace, formerly stylized as MySpace, also MySpace, and sometimes My, with an elongated open box symbol, is a social networking service based in the United States.
Launched on August 1, 2003, it was the first social network to reach a global audience and had a significant influence on technology, pop culture, and music.
It also played a critical role in the early growth of companies like YouTube and created a developer platform that launched companies such as Zynga, Rockview, and PhotoBucket, among others, to success.
From 2005 to 2009, MySpace was the largest social networking site in the world.
In July 2005, MySpace was acquired by News Corporation for $580 million. In June 2006, it surpassed Yahoo and Google to become the most visited website in the United States.
During the 2008 fiscal year, it generated $800 million in revenue.
At its peak, in April 2008, MySpace had 115 million monthly visitors. By that time, the recently emergent Facebook had about the same number of visitors, but somewhat more global users than MySpace.
In May 2009, Facebook surpassed MySpace in its number of unique U.S. visitors.
Since then, the number of MySpace users has declined steadily despite several redesigns.
By 2019, the number of monthly visitors to the site had dropped to 7 million.
In June 2009, MySpace employed approximately 1,600 people.
In June 2011, Specific Media Group and Justin Timberlake jointly purchased the company for approximately $35 million.
On February 11, 2016, it was announced that MySpace and its parent company had been purchased by Time Incorporated for $87 million.
On January 31, 2018, Time Incorporated was in turn purchased by Meredith Corporation and later that year, on November 4, 2019, Meredith spun off MySpace and its original holding company, Viant Technology Holding Incorporated, and sold it to Viant Technology LLC.
In August 2003, several eUniverse employees with Friendster accounts saw potential in its social networking features.
The group decided to mimic the more popular features of the website.
Within 10 days, the first version of MySpace was ready for launch, implemented using Cold Fusion.
A complete infrastructure of finance, human resources, technical expertise, bandwidth, and server capacity was available for the site.
The project was overseen by Brad Greenspan, eUniverse's founder, chairman and CEO, who managed Chris DeWolf, MySpace's starting CEO, Josh Lerman, Tom Anderson, MySpace's starting president, and a team of programmers and resources provided by eUniverse.
It was during this early period, in June 2003, just prior to the birth of MySpace, that Jeffrey Edel was brought on as chairman of parent company Intermix Media.
The first MySpace users were eUniverse employees.
The company held contests to see who could sign up the most users.
eUniverse used its 20 million users and email subscribers to breathe life into MySpace and move it to the head of the pack of social networking websites.
A A key architect was tech expert Tone Nguyen, who helped stabilize the platform when Greenspan asked him to join the team.
Co-founder and CTO Aver Whitcomb played an integral role in software architecture, utilizing the then superior development speed of Cold Fusion over other dynamic database-driven server-side languages of the time.
Despite having over 10 times the number of developers, Friendster, which was developed in Java Server Pages, JSP, could not keep up with the speed of development of MySpace and CFM.
For example, users could customize the background, look and feel of pages on MySpace. MySpace originally gained users because of how easy it made to communicate with other users.
Before MySpace debuted, many people communicated online through instant messaging or IM.
However, MySpace got so popular that people started to use MySpace to message people even more than IM.
This was especially true in bigger cities that had more people compared to suburbs that still used IM more.
The MySpace.com domain was originally owned by YRZ.com, Incorporated, intended until 2002 for use as an online data storage and sharing site.
By late 2003, it was transitioned from a file storage service to a social networking site.
A friend who also worked in the data storage business reminded DeWolf that he had earlier bought the MySpace.com domain.
DeWolf suggested they charge a fee for the basic MySpace service.
However, Greenspan nixed the idea, believing that keeping the site free was necessary to make it a successful community.
MySpace quickly gained popularity among teenagers and young adults.
In February 2005, DeWolf held talks with Mark Zuckerberg over acquiring Facebook, but rejected Zuckerberg's offer to sell Facebook to him for $75 million.
Some employees of MySpace, including DeWolf and Berman, were able to purchase equity in the property before MySpace and its parent company eUniverse, now renamed Intermix Media, were bought.
In July 2005, in one of the company's first major internet purchases, News Corporation purchased MySpace for $580 million.
At the time of the acquisition, the company was seeing 16 million monthly users and was growing exponentially.
News Corporation had beat out Viacom by offering a higher price for the website, and the purchase was seen as a good investment at the time.
Within a year, MySpace had tripled in value from its purchase price.
News Corporation saw the purchase as a way to capitalize on internet advertising and drive traffic to other News Corporation properties. After the acquisition, MySpace continued its exponential growth.
In January 2006, the site was signing up 200,000 new users a day.
A year later, it was registering 320,000 users a day and had overtaken Yahoo to become the most visited website in the United States.
Comscore said that a key driver of the site's success in the US was high engagement levels, with the average MySpace user viewing over 660 pages a month.
In January 2006, Fox announced plans to launch a UK version of MySpace.
During 2006, MySpace launched localized versions in 11 countries across Europe, Asia, and the Americas, including MySpace China with Solstice.
At the time, Travis Katz, Senior Vice President for International Operations, reported that 30 million of the site's 90 million users were coming from outside of the United States. The 100 millionth MySpace account was created on August 9, 2006 in the Netherlands.
That same month, MySpace signed a landmark advertising deal with Google that guaranteed MySpace $900 million over 3 years, over 55% more than the Price News Corporation had paid to acquire the business.
In exchange, Google received exclusive rights to provide web search results and sponsored links on MySpace.
When the deal was signed, Google chairman Eric Schmidt said, "When we looked at what was growing on the web, all our internal metrics pointed to MySpace. It's important to move Google to where users are, and that is where user-generated content is."
By October 2006, MySpace had grown from generating $1 million in revenue per month to $30 million per month, half of which came from the Google deal.
The remaining 50% came from display advertising sold by MySpace's in-house sales team.
In November 2006, MySpace announced a 50-50 joint venture with SoftBank to launch the site in Japan. In mid-2007, MySpace was the largest social networking site in every European country where it had created a local presence.
By July 2007, Nielsen/Net Ratings reported the company's active reach, or the percentage of the population that visited the site, was anywhere from 10 to 15 times higher in Spain, France and Germany than for runner-up Facebook. In the United Kingdom, MySpace led Facebook by 2-1 in terms of reach.
MySpace would even land deals with major corporations like Sony.
In 2007, MySpace partnered with Sony BMG, a Sony record label, to put music directly on the MySpace platform.
Sony became interested in MySpace as they had 110 million users and had a lot of musical artists make their start on the platform. On November 1, 2007, MySpace and Devo joined the Google-led Open Social Alliance, which already included Friendster, High5, LinkedIn, Quaxo, Ning, and 6apart.
The alliance's goal was to promote a common set of standards for software developers to write programs for social networks.
Google had been unsuccessful in building its own social networking site Orca in the American market, and was using the alliance to present a counterweight to Facebook. By late 2007 and into 2008, MySpace was considered a leading social networking site, and consistently beat out its main competitor Facebook in traffic.
Initially, the emergence of Facebook did little to diminish MySpace's popularity. At the time, Facebook was targeted only at college students.
At its peak, when News Corporation attempted to merge it with Yahoo in 2007, MySpace was valued at $12 billion and had more than 300 million registered users. On April 19, 2008, Facebook overtook MySpace in Alexa rankings.
In May 2009, Facebook surpassed MySpace in the number of unique U.S. visitors.
From that point, MySpace saw a consistent loss of membership.
There are several suggested explanations for its decline, including the fact that it stuck to a portal strategy of building an audience around entertainment and music, whereas Facebook and Twitter continually added new features to improve the social networking experience.
A former MySpace executive suggested that the $900 million 3-year advertisement deal with Google, while being a short-term cash windfall, was a handicap in the long run. as it required MySpace to place even more ads on its already heavily advertised space, which made the site slow, more difficult to use, and less flexible.
MySpace could not experiment with its own site without forfeiting revenue, while Facebook was rolling out a new, clean site design.
MySpace CEO Chris DeWolf reported that he had to fight Fox Interactive Media's sales team, who monetized the site without regard to user experience.
In 2012, Katz described how News Corporation had put significant pressure on MySpace to focus on near-term monetization as opposed to thinking about long-term product strategy, while Facebook focused user engagement over revenue.
Dana Boyd, a senior researcher at Microsoft Research, noted of social networking websites that companies might serially rise, fall, and disappear as influential peers pull others in on the climb up and signal to flee when it's time to get out.
The volatility of social networks was exemplified in 2006 when Connecticut Attorney General Richard Blumenthal launched an investigation into children's exposure to pornography on MySpace.
The resulting media frenzy and the site's lack of an effective spam filter gave the site a reputation as a vortex of perversion.
Around that time, specialized social media companies such as Twitter formed and began targeting users on MySpace, while Facebook rolled out communication tools that were seen as safe in comparison to MySpace.
In addition, MySpace had particular problems with vandalism, phishing, malware, and spam, which it failed to curtail, making the site seem inhospitable. These have been cited as factors why users, who as teenagers were MySpace's strongest audience in 2006 and 2007, have been migrating to Facebook, which started strongly with the 18 to 24 group, mostly college students, and has been much more successful than MySpace at attracting older users. News Corporation Chairman and CEO Rupert Murdoch was said to be frustrated that MySpace never met expectations as a distribution outlet for Fox Studio content and missed the US $1 billion mark in total revenues.
This resulted in DeWolf and Anderson gradually losing their status within Murdoch's inner circle of executives, as well as DeWolf's mentor Peter Chernin, president and COO of News Corporation, departing the company in June 2009.
Former AOL executive Jonathan Miller, who joined News Corporation in charge of the digital media business, was in the job for 3 weeks when he shuffled MySpace's executive team in April 2009.
MySpace president Tom Anderson stepped down while Chris DeWolf was replaced as CEO by former Facebook COO Van Meta.
A meeting at News Corporation over the direction of MySpace in March 2009 was reportedly the catalyst for that management shakeup, with a Google search deal about to expire and the departure of key personnel, MySpace's COO, SVP of Engineering, and SVP of Strategy, to form a startup.
Furthermore, the opening of extravagant new offices around the world was questioned, as Facebook did not have similarly extensive expansion plans but still attracted international users at a rapid rate.
The changes to MySpace's executive ranks were followed in June 2009 by a layoff of 37.5% of its workforce, including 30% of its U.S. employees, reducing employees from 1,600 to 1,000. The downfall of MySpace can be attributed to many different factors,
one of which was the demographic of MySpace and how they reacted to the debut of Facebook.
When MySpace was launched, many of its users were people who never really used the internet before.
As time went on, many users start to become frustrated with the very limited features of MySpace.
Facebook launched with many quality of life features that MySpace simply did not have.
So, a lot of users began to migrate from MySpace to Facebook.
According to Tim Vanderhook, the CEO of MySpace, when it was owned by Viant, MySpace was killed by a calculated takedown by Google over music.
Vanderhook alleges that Google used their recent acquisition of YouTube to take away a lot of the music deals they otherwise would have gotten, like getting artists to put music on YouTube instead of MySpace.
This utterly crippled MySpace as they had come to rely on the content of music artists.
Vanderhook also alleges that Google used their search engine algorithm to steer users away from MySpace and towards YouTube.
In 2009, MySpace implemented site redesigns as a way to get users back.
However, this may have backfired, as users generally dislike tweaks and changes on Facebook.
In March 2011, market research figures released by Comscore suggested that MySpace had lost 10 million users between January and February 2011 and had fallen from 95 million to 63 million unique users in the previous 12 months.
MySpace registered its sharpest audience declines in February 2011 as traffic fell 44% from a year earlier to 37.7 million US visitors.
Advertisers were reported as unwilling to commit to long-term deals with the site. In late February 2011, News Corporation officially put the site up for sale for an estimated $50 million to $200 million.
Losses from the last quarter of 2010 were $156 million, over double the previous year, which dragged down the otherwise strong results of News Corporation.
The deadline for his, May 31, 2011, passed without any of the reserve price of $100 million being submitted.
It has been said that the decline in users during the most recent quarter deterred several potential suitors.
On June 29, 2011, MySpace announced in an email to label partners and press that it had been acquired by Specific Media for an undisclosed sum, which was rumored to be as low as $35 million.
CNN reported that the site sold for $35 million and noted that it was far less than the $580 million News Corp paid for MySpace in 2005.
Murdoch went on to call the MySpace purchase a huge mistake, and Time magazine compared it to Time Warner's 2000 purchase of AOL, which saw a conglomerate trying to stay ahead of the competition.
Many former executives have gone on to further success after departing MySpace.
On February 11, 2016, it was announced that MySpace and its parent company had been bought by Time Incorporated.
On January 31, 2018, Time Incorporated was in turn purchased by Meredith Corporation, who went on to sell a number of Time Incorporated's assets, including, as it announced on November 4, 2019, selling its equity in Viant, the parent company of Specific Media, back to Viant Technology Holding Incorporated.
In May 2016, the data for almost 360 million MySpace accounts was offered on the Real Deal Dark Market website, which included email addresses, usernames, and weakly encrypted passwords. SHA-1 hashes of the first 10 characters of the password, converted to lowercase and stored without a cryptographic salt.
The The exact data breach date is unknown, but analysis of the data suggests it was exposed around 8 years before being made public, around mid-2008 to early 2009.
In March 2019, MySpace lost all content before 2016 after a faulty server migration. As of October 5, 2024, MySpace has still been placed in a read-only mode of sorts, as no new articles have been published since early 2022, but media uploads seem to be working now.
MySpace's official account has also sparked some new activity.
However, most images on the site still seem to be broken, and existing songs also cannot be played. The terms of service of MySpace have not been changed by Viant.
The privacy policy was last revised on 24 June 2024. We will continue about MySpace in part 2, so stay tuned.